Like, I don't feel more sorry. If anything, I feel more sorry for the 300 some odd children who lost their lives in Iran. You know what I mean? I remember Donald Trump specifically said, I'll never forget this. This was during his first term, and I'll look this up if I gotta find the quote. It was a black soldier in Iraq, no, in Africa, and he lost his life. And I remember Donald Trump said something to the effect of, yeah, like, you know, that's what he signed up for. I'll never forget that. I remember being like, damn, like the commander-in-chief said, like, that's what he signed up for. So you look at that, and if I choose the same logic, those damn near 400 children never signed up to receive what they received, you know. But I'm sure there's a waiver to sign when you join the armed forces. Regardless, they should have never lost their lives anyway. But at the same time, I can't sit here and act like I feel more sorry for one side versus the other when we're not there for a just cause in the first place. Hey, are we still gonna get that done tomorrow? Absolutely. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, so that's just not the type of person I am, and that's not the type of person you should be either. You know what I mean? Because that's where like nationalism comes in. I'm better than you comes in. They're not the same type of humans as us comes in. Like, when you allow yourself to feel more sorry for the 18 service members versus the 4,000 to 8,000 Iranians and hundreds of kids, like, I'm not even saying that one should feel more than the other, but what I'm saying is don't let this patriotic, whatever American propaganda make you lose your humanity in the fact that the numbers don't lie. The numbers say something, and that's what you gotta go by. You gotta go by how you feel about life, and you gotta go by what's really on the table here. You know, you're not gonna tell me the person that's getting spanked literally 18 to 8,000 is a real threat. I'll never believe that. You would have been better off in North Korea. You would have been better off in China. You would have been better off anywhere else but the place where the score is 18 to 8,000. And and you know what? It's scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary to like live in a world like that where it seems so cut and dry, at least to me. But to see people debating as to whether or not we're doing the right thing and why we there, while we're watching our gas go up, our food go up, our inflation, like, it's not even like the living conditions got better. That's the thing that boggles my mind. And then I was like, yo, they got us under a spell or something. They cutting chicken somewhere. They got us under a spell or something. Because I look at it, I'm just like, it's not even like we at where we said we want to be, where we said that we was going to be, what he said that we was going to be taken to. That we're not even there. So it's like, to see people argue and debate about something that's so obvious to somebody like me, who has no, like, I have no political science degree. I used to read a lot of books about politics, but like, I don't even read anymore. I'm just literally looking at 18 versus 8,000, and I'm like, nah, we got to be the bad guys. We got to be the bad guys. There's no way that the score is that, and you can justify still doing that. You understand? So it's kind of scary to be in a place where like evil, where actually, yeah, that's where evil is like really just looked at as like, this is just the way of life, the way of the world. It messes with you a little bit, you know what I mean? Because you're on edge. You're like, damn, bro, like, and then like you say to yourself sometimes I remember before I used to be like, yeah, man, we just gotta wait this dude out. But I'm just like, nah, you know how this works. It's gonna be doubled down in the future. If this is where we at right now, then I don't know where we're gonna be in 10, 15 years. You know what I mean? If you could justify that, you could justify that and still have the living conditions where they at right now. I remember bugging out when they said, oh, we're going to run for a third term. I remember being like, oh yeah, nah, nobody would go for that. But then that's like a better example. That's the exact, see, you know what scares me? I know what it is now that I said that out loud. It's the fact that people will put themselves on the chopping block for the ideas of other people. You see what I'm saying? Like for him to run for a third term, that would benefit no American. Like even if he was the best person alive, we're smart enough to know that with enough power, you'll get drunk with it. You know what I mean? You can only be so, and like he's old anyway. You know what I mean? So it's just like that would never work in somebody's benefit and in an American citizen's benefit. But people chuck that out the window just for the idea of just being a fucking, I don't even know. You're not a baby no more, Jody. Nah, man, factory. If one is awakened, you cannot continue taking with the evil and suffering. If one is awakened, then you cannot continue for taking with evil and suffering. Yeah. Oh, okay. Awaken the dogma. Yeah. No, that's facts. And I really feel like I'm not that smart of a person. Like anybody, I feel like, yo, bro, how could you look at 18 versus 8,000 and not feel some type of way? So it's just like, I feel like it's like, damn, something gotta be up with people. I don't know. Some people say they're sleep. Maybe that's that term stay woke came from, and then they drove that down to the ground, the stay woke stuff. But there's definitely a difference in perception at the bare minimum. You know what I mean? I used to think that the thing that keeps us all together was at least our humanity, at least wanting people not to pass away, you know, for unnecessary circumstances. I used to think that at least will keep us together. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, you know, they used to say if aliens came down and attacked the planet, we'd all come together. But at this point, I feel like if they attacked the first side they attacked, the other side would cheer them on. That's just truly, they used to, who said that? I think a president said that. Who was that? Was that Reagan? He's like, yo, if we ever got attacked by aliens, that's what would make us realize that we a human species and we all one and we all got to come together. Nah, not in 2026. 2026, if they hit China first, somebody over MAGAville's going crazy. If they hit America first, Iran gonna praise Allah. Like, I'm telling you, like, so I feel it's scared because I'm like, oh nah, like we losing our humanity for real. And like back then it used to be like, it used to make sense. Like I don't want to watch people suffer. I don't, you know, like I want my best interest. You know what I mean? If somebody gotta lose some money or something, but like for you to go in and like see the numbers at 18 versus 8,000, then it's just like, holy smokes, what are we doing? Where's the humanity in that? And how do a bunch of people stand by and act like that's normal? You know what I mean? Like that's not normal by any means, you know? And like I said before, for those of you who just joined us, it makes every single life that was lost in the Iraq war lost in vain, because we knew that we was there for a BS reason. So the bare minimum, we could have said, we will never let this happen again. And we could have at least had their lives be something of a lesson that America will take for the rest of its days. But instead, 15, 20 years later, she calling me right now. I gotta go anyway. 15, 20 years later, we still in the exact same position. You understand?